Hey guys, it's been a bit, hope you've been well, and today we come back with the Kangaroo by Impulse keyboards here in Australia, aka the guy that I've been borrowing in GMK key sets for my videos for the last few years, probably saving me a couple of million. But first off, let's appreciate this beautiful box that he got made by Woods of the West out in Western Australia. It's pretty extra, but I love it, you know, with the kangaroo on top, the latches, even the inside is nice. Although this does not come with a keyboard, there's a carry case that I'll show later, which is honestly way better for moving it around, but he just wants to let you know that he has it. Alright, so this is ridiculously heavy because I have an all brass unit, however there will be other configurations available, but seriously, it's genuinely a struggle to just get it out and carry it. Unbuilt, it's about 8 to 9 kilograms, which is about 18 to 20 pounds I think, which is nuts. I mean, for me 3 kilograms is already pretty heavy on the desk, and those tend to have a brass weight somewhere, but instead it's just the whole thing here. And just some bad news, I did mess up and scratched it earlier. Feels unbelievably bad. I think it was from before I put on the feet, and the weight of the board definitely really worked against it here, making it worse. So yeah, I'm sorry, Jono. I'm usually pretty good with these things. Anyway, perhaps because of that weight, there's a ton of hex screws, 16 holding the keyboard together. And then another 16 mounting the plate to the top housing, which are exactly the same screw as well. Love that. That also means that it's utilizing a nice and simple top mount design. Alright, here's the top piece, and I'm gonna keep saying it, but the brass is just beautiful. It might not look like much, but this piece is about 1.9 kilograms, while its aluminium counterpart is about 0.6, so only a third of the brass. Looking at the plate, and I think this is my favorite part, 5mm brass is so aesthetic. For reference, a more normal plate will usually be 1.5mm, sometimes 2. So as we can see, there are cutouts for the switch clips, otherwise the switches wouldn't clip in, and then there's more room given for the stabilizers. The mounting tabs are spaced equally around the plate, and the weight, over a kilo, very nice. I also do have the aluminium plate, but he mentioned that he was working on other materials which could be very interesting, particularly thick plastic. And finally, the bottom brass piece, and this is the thing that really gives most of the weight at around 5.4 kilograms, which is understandable because there's only 2mm worth of clearance, so very shallow. Also note that it has a symmetrical design, and if we turn it around you can see the thickness that it has. That's just a solid chunk of metal right there. The inside is beautiful though. I don't know what the final will look like, but there's a couple of engravings here. As you can see, this does go back quite a bit, with this prototype being manufactured by Salvin, however the production units won't be. Okay, let's build this bad boy. Here's the carry case, by the way, pretty standard, has a nice molded handle. Strap test, not the best, not the worst. Zipper compartment, but the impressive thing, molded inside instead of just foam, which I don't think I see too often, so it definitely adds a more premium feel. Here's the PCB designed by Zealous here in Australia. I believe there's only solderable available, which is fair enough because a full size definitely provides a bit more layout flexibility, as we can see in the key map. For stabilizers, it's got to be Stabies from Keyboard Treehouse. It's been a good minute since I built a full size board, so yeah, these things eat stabilizers. As for the switches, I wanted to stick to Australian, so I have these built by NIM or BBN linears. These are a long pole dual stage spring 63.5 gram linear made by Texi, and how cute are these stickers, eh? A small issue that I hit, the spacebar stabilizers seem to be interfering with a plate somewhere. For the rest of the board, the PCB pretty much sits flush to the plate, but the spacebar area doesn't. So not too much I can do about it at the moment, but it should be fixed for the final. And here it is, the Kangaroo left-handed 108 custom mechanical keyboard by Impulse Keyboards. I know I've mentioned it multiple times, but this all brass unit is wild. It's about 9 kilograms built, so it annoyingly made it pretty difficult to do any interesting shots with it. Just really challenging, so yeah, apologies for not making the video extra spicy, but it's lovely, and the full-size nature of the board allows us to see even more of it on top, particularly the left side. The design itself is simple and clean, sizable bezels with the chin and top being slightly thicker than the sides, nicely rounded corners with a slight chamfer on both the inside and outside edges. Looking at the side profile, we have a seamless design where the top goes over the bottom. However, the Kangaroo is intended to be a two-tone keyboard, giving the sides and rear a bit more dimension. What other colours will there be? Not sure yet, but it'll be updated on the Geek Hack thread. Back to the side, I measured it to have around a 6.5 degree incline and 22 to 23mm front height. Pretty standard and comfortable. However, remember how I said the bottom piece was symmetrical? You can do this. I honestly didn't know this until like the third or fourth time opening up the board because it's not mentioned anywhere and I don't think we talked about it, but yeah, you can reverse this, very much alike to the AE board's EXT65, which is also a left-hand numpad keyboard. I probably had it like this for 2 weeks or so just because I couldn't be bothered to turn it back around, and this makes the front height approximately 38 to 39mm tall, so I had to run this old glorious soft wrist rest because hovering is tiring, and yeah, I don't know, I haven't researched deeply into negative angle ergonomics. It definitely would reduce wrist angle, which you would think would contribute to less strain, but we also usually prefer some sort of angle rather than flat, right? That being said, I did get used to it and going back to normal genuinely felt uncomfortable, and obviously it was in my head too, making it worse. The other reverse aspect of this board is of course the left-hand nature of it. So essentially we have a normal full-size keyboard but with everything else put to the left. There's been a couple of left-hand numpad keyboards, I've checked out several on the channel, but they tend to forego this cluster here or have some sort of variation on the right of the keyboard. So there's, I'd say, two main aspects to look at with a left-hand numpad. First of all, usually you share the right hand between the numpad and the mouse, so having it on the left hand allows you to use it simultaneously, but I guess you'd have to be a pretty heavy user to benefit from that. Secondly, and more importantly, in my opinion, is that it helps with the keyboard and mouse offset. So basically, on a normal full-sized, your left hand and right hand are spread further apart because of all those keys in between. Therefore, you either lose space for your mouse or you have to drag the keyboard out further to the left. So now we essentially free up all that space on the right, providing we have enough space on the left. And in doing so, it's like a 60% laterally, which I find a lot more comfortable. Makes it nicer for gaming as well with that space. I think the nav cluster and arrow location won't be for everyone, as it takes the numpad further out. Personally, I don't mind it, and where's the fun in going with the same layouts as other keyboards, you know? It doesn't purely just need to be a numpad though. You can of course program it to do whatever you want, and you can even just do a full grid of 1U keys, which is very suitable for macros. So left down numpad for me is a yes. Alright, let's give it a listen. Okay, so I think it's very much what we expected for the most part. It's as solid as a rock, no flex whatsoever, no give, so the bottom out is very hard and sharp and harsh to a degree. But with a 5mm plate, while it can be harsh, there's a dense solidity to it, more full rather than being thin and tinny feeling, if that makes sense. The BB and linear switches definitely accentuate that, being quite a clacky switch by default, which personally I thought would pair it nicely, but perhaps something less clacky would do well. Tactiles would probably be a good shout as well. As you would have heard before the mod, it's quite pingy on my desk, particularly with the mod keys. It's super noticeable. However, with just a bit of tape in between where the top and bottom pieces contact, also known as the forcebreak mod, it's all gone, and very slightly softens the feel. Obviously, that's not ideal because, you know, it's a premium board and it shouldn't have that by default, but at the same time, it's such an easy fix. But I told him about it and he's already working on it, so hopefully it should all be good. I also couldn't quite get the spacebar perfect. It's close, but I think it's just to do with the PCB not being flush with the plate in that area as shown before. So to be honest, at first, I wasn't feeling it, didn't really enjoy it. It was a bit too hard for my liking, which is to be expected, but I don't know, there wasn't any exceptional clack or any sort of pop to it. However, interestingly over time, I grew to like it more and more, like an acquired taste, and now I genuinely enjoy typing on it. I'm not sure exactly why, perhaps I needed that break-in period to get used to the harder feel. And once that happened, I was all good. And I have the feeling other people may experience that too, given the opportunity, but it's definitely not for everyone. The aluminium plate didn't feel too different, but I suspect a plastic plate will change things up quite a bit. And that's the Kangaroo. Beautiful piece of kit. What I like about this board is that it's a board that he wanted and a board that he wanted to do in his own way. From what I've seen throughout the years and his love of the Aegis, he loves his left-hand numpads, so that's what he did. He likes heavy stuff, so that's what he did. 5mm plates, playing with brass, the optional negative angle, and probably the biggest thing throughout the process was that he originally wanted it to be manufactured in Australia, but after a lot of time and trials going round and round, unfortunately it didn't work out. China just too powerful and experienced. Although that also means that it will be cheaper at around $550 USD for brass base, thick brass plate, and aluminium top, which in this day and age it's a very solid price in my opinion. Obviously, as always, that's a lot of money, but it's a full-size board, has a lot of brass and that sick carry case, so not too bad. I really enjoyed it. I like the layout, and while it's simple, it's different to a lot of the other left-hand numpad boards. I'll chuck all the links in the description if you want to keep up to date. Thank you for watching, and bless. Let's go. Oh! Oh, thank you. Oh, that feels good. Okay. GG, thanks. Oh, see you.